Since 9/11, the U.S. government has provided about $18 billion in civilian and military aid to Pakistan, making it among the top 5 recipients of U.S. aid. Now the country is wreaked with monsoon floods, which could displace up to 20 million people. The U.S. is still sending in millions more. But if you look at the polls, this doesn't seem to be buying America any goodwill in the eyes of the Pakistani public. In fact, according to a recent Pew Research poll, half of all Pakistanis believe that the U.S. gives little to no assistance to their country, and nearly 6 in 10 describe the U.S. as an enemy. So who do we blame that on? Is it the way the aid is distributed, the people that it's given to, or is it simply the fact that the two countries just don't understand each other? Well, here to discuss it with me is Aisha Chowdhry, writer and director of the documentary film Pakistan Inside the Tinderbox. Aisha, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, there's 2 issues essentially that I want to discuss here when it comes to aid. You know, it's where the aid actually goes and what's done with it, and then where people think the aid goes, if they even know that it's being given in the first place, you know? So if we look, you know, at some of those polls that I just mentioned about the fact that half of Pakistanis, all Pakistanis don't even think the U.S. gives any aid. 6 in 10 think of the U.S. as an enemy. You know, what do you think it is that shapes these perceptions? Why do people think that way?
Well, I think a lot of the Pakistanis that I interviewed during my documentary, I asked them about U.S. aid, and they were very quick on their response, and they said, we're not seeing the results. They think that if the U.S. aid is coming, then their economy should be getting better. There should be more development, their educational institutions should be better, and they're not seeing that. And so that's why they believe it's not going to the right people. And there's a history of corruption in the country, and so they think that it goes into the pockets of a lot of politicians. And that's really the general feel among the common folks in Pakistan.
But so in that sense, you know, is there anger with their own government for the fact that their government is corrupt and they're not distributing the money? Or is it, you know, at America for, I don't know, being foolish enough to give it to the government, but who else do you give it to if not the military?
Right. Well, it's definitely split between both parties. There's a side of Pakistan which blames the government. There's the other side that does not want to trust America and does not know where the aid goes because they're not seeing it.
You know, a lot of people would put blame, you know, I was reading from a lot of analysts today, they're saying, you know, there's poor coordination with the Pakistani government, but there's also a lack of understanding of Pakistan's needs, in the sense that America, when they choose to give aid, they also like to say how you're allowed to use it. So, you know, do you think that that's a problem? Do you think that America doesn't really understand Pakistan and what it needs?
I think that is a problem, and I think you have to remember that to understand Pakistan, you need to understand the Pakistani people, and you need to understand all of them across the board. You need to understand the poor, and you need to understand the elite. You need to understand everyone in the middle. And each of those groups have different needs. They have different goals. They're in different professions. In these floods, over $1 billion of crops have been damaged, and so to understand Pakistan right now, it's very important to really focus on that, focus on making these people self-sufficient so they can get back on their feet and back with their lives.
Now, you know, one of the things that I really found interesting in your film, too, is you showed very different sides of Pakistan. You definitely, you know, 60% of the population there lives on $2 a day or even less. And then at the same time, you showed us some of the cities. You were on, you know, red carpets with models and with designers that were bringing Fashion Week to Pakistan. So how do you fuse those two together, too? You know, I mean, how... On one hand, it's like, as an American, when I was looking at, you know, the Fashion Week and the fact that there's Mercedes and there's McDonald's and I think Carl's Jr. or Hardee's or something I saw in one of the images, you think, oh, this is just like us. And then at the same time, how do you understand that 60% of this population lives in horrible poverty?
Yeah, that was one of the goals of my documentary. I wanted to show Pakistan on a different level. I wanted to show that, okay, there's poor people in Pakistan, and this is what they live in. These are the conditions. And also at the same time, I really wanted to show a more positive image of Pakistan. I think Pakistan deserves that. There are good things about the country too, and that's a lot what the people that I interviewed, they really focused on that. They were like, you know, we have good things in this country too, but the international media doesn't focus on it. So that's what I went there to ask them, tell me those good things and tell me where you think Pakistan needs to improve, and tell me about the United States, tell me about the aid that goes there. And I think the documentary really brings out different faces.
Do they feel ignored by the media altogether, though? Because on one hand, it's the media isn't covering the positives, and at the same time, you know, what about the coverage of the floods? We just have 30 seconds.
Yes, the coverage of the floods, actually, a lot of the people I've been in touch with in Pakistan right now, they were very frustrated that the international media did not give it as much coverage as it should, because this is a huge natural disaster. Over 20 million people have been affected, 5 million displaced, and 800,000 people are completely cut off from any type of relief help. So they are frustrated at that, and they're doing everything in their power to really spread the word and to help the flood victims. They've opened up their arms a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, and a great film, too.
Thank you so much.